G'day, battlers, and today we have a beautiful selection of people, of Aussies from around the country, because today we're going to be talking all about the Silph Arena Season 3 Regionals. Because the really funny thing this year is that every regional in the country is going to be happening on the exact same day, which is this Saturday, the 19th. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But first off, we should probably introduce everyone here. So, we'll just go like on screen order, like from my on-screen right, which is that way, which is Bamboss is the first man. So if you kind of want to tell us who you are, where you're from, what regionals you're involved with, and also your favorite Silph Season 3 meta, if you can think of it.
All right, so my name's Bamboss. I'm one of the tournament organisers from the Bondi area in Sydney, and I've been playing Silph Arena PvP since Boulder Cup at the very start of the Silph Arena. I'm one of the organisers also of the New South Wales Regionals, and I'm really looking forward to it. My favourite Silph Arena meta in Season 3, look, I think I like Venture Cup. I think it's a more Silph style of meta. All the others, I just feel that I've been really, really rushed, and I just put something together and it doesn't do very well, and then I just get frustrated. But I really like the point system. I think it's at the core of what the Silph Arena does really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings us to the next person, which is Evada, coming from the Queens of Land.
How's it going?
Doing quite well. How are you?
Yeah, good. You know, just me. It's lovely seeing all your wonderful faces. So good to be here. Been trying time and time again to get on the show, and unfortunately, your people just can quite line it up with my people. But you know, anyway, so we're here now. That's all that matters. Yeah. So I'm Evada. I've pretty much self-appointed the Queensland lead of the PvP tournaments, and also look after the Pokemon Go Brisbane Discord. Used to be Pogo Bass, but no one understood what Bass stood for. It was supposed to be an abbreviation, and I don't even remember anymore. So
yeah, can you explain that to us a little bit?
Brisbane and surrounding suburbs.
That's it. We had just a quick tangent, but a lot of our communities, when we had that whole attempt to move from Facebook to Discord, yeah, a lot of our communities had abbreviations. There was GAS, which was the Gap, Ashgrove, and surrounds, and I don't know if we'll cut this out if necessary, but TITS, which is actually 4 different suburb names, is another. So we went with Bass for the overall one, but yeah, fun story, I guess. You know, I'll tell my kids one day. So yeah, I'm available.
We're not letting you get away without answering the favorite meta question. That's a
favorite meta. I definitely agree. It's the Venture Cup. Personally, I think I was a bit tired of the Open Great League formats that we've had over the last, like with the slight variations, but I love that idea of Open Great League, but basically using the Go Stadium cliffhanger style format. That's something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and it's nice to be official, and I hope it's something they actually kind of keep around for Season 4, because it's probably, you could argue it's a little bit stale. You can only do so much with different types and restrictions and that sort of stuff. But I love the points system. I think that's definitely agree with Bamboss. It was a good move. So yeah.
It's certainly something you can apply to a lot of different metas. Like this one was cliffhanger applied to Retro Cup, essentially. I'm sure we might see something similar going forward. But hopping back into it, we've got Final Flash. We'll go back to the bottom left. I really need to think. Oh, it's directly below me. Final Flash. Where you from? What you doing? Favorite meta? Go.
Hey, FINALFLASH218. I'm from South Australia. I've been playing Silph since the very start of Season 1. I don't feel like I'm heaps good, but I just enjoy it, and I just take each month as it goes. Pretty much. I just also my favorite Silph meta, also Venture. I just like the fact that it was a really hard meta to try to build a team for, like the hardest one that I've had to this season. But doing the battles, it's just so much fun. Like as soon as I built my team, I'm like, right, I spent so long building my team. I want to get into some battles right now, and just super keen to play this cup, to this tournament.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think a lot of people are in a similar boat this
Yeah.
night as well. But we'll go
I
to
think that
man
phone
number
agrees with you as
5.
well.
Spy Cactus 49. We have had 3 people say Venture Cup in a row. You do not have to keep the trend going, but you may.
Yeah, well, I'm Spy Cactus 49, but I'm better known as my in-game name, Epic Cactus 49. I've been playing since Pokemon Go first came out. I was in high school back then and was playing with friends. Haven't been playing the game as much since, but then once I got into PvP for Season 2 of Silph, PvP's been my life. All I play Pokemon Go for anymore is the PvP side. Unfortunately, I'm keeping up the trend here. I do love Venture Cup. It definitely feels to me like the Silph team came together, put all their brains together and made the best possible meta they could for Venture. I remember not enjoying Sunshine and Sunrise and the other cups to start off with. I felt that they were a bit too bring in the GBL players. This one really feels like it's for the Silphies. So yeah, I don't think I said I'm Tasmania. I'm from the Tassie region. We might be small, but we've got 2 communities, and I'm from the Hobart community. We've got another community up north in Tassie where Rocket Claire and similar battlers and her community are. And yeah, I'm just part of the Hobart community, and we chill out here. We enjoy our PvP.
As do we all. And that brings us to the last man on the roster, AchillesHero, who could be the one person to break the Venture Cup streak. Could be.
Yes, I'm AchillesHero. I'm from Victoria, down in the Gippsland area. I'm the tournament organizer and I run the Discord for Gippsland Pokemon Go PvP. My favourite meta is actually Nightfall Cup, so I break the Venture trend. I say that because I loved playing with Shadow Victory Bell. Being able to beat those Frostlass with just straight out Razor Leaf was pretty fun, and also beating a Knockdown with Sludge Bomb. That was fun. Yeah, and I ended up being my best performing tourney as well. I went 5-1 in Colossal, so that was good to be able to do that. But yeah. Yeah, and I'm also the regional tournament organizer for the Victorian and Tas Regionals this year.
Yeah, so we've got to actually. I didn't actually introduce myself. Hi, I'm Steve. I'm from the New South Wales area, and I actually was gonna break the Venture trend to say the exact same answer that you gave, AchillesHero. Nightfall Cup. I was a fan. I'm not like hard sold that it was my favorite. I have liked a few here or there. Venture is definitely nice as well, but I haven't got as deep into Venture Cup as I would like to yet, which is maybe concerning, seeing as our regionals is in 2 days. But plenty of time to figure this stuff all out. But we'll just jump straight into it now that we've got our introduction out of the way. We know who we've got. We've got people from all over the country, and we do have 4 different regionals going on in the country. But I guess the first question is, what are regionals? How does this work? How do these invites get sent out? Who is invited? Bamboss, can you kind of enlighten us a little bit? Tell us about the sort of Silph Regionals process.
Yeah, so regionals is basically like the middle section of the pyramid of the championship season for the Silph Arena. So there are monthly cups, there are non-cup tournaments that happen throughout the year, and based on your performance and your ranking, you may end up getting an invitation to regionals. Now, there's a really complicated formula for how you get an invitation or not, but ultimately what it really came down to was just your national ranking. If you were roughly ranked in the top 100 and something like 110th or above, pretty much everyone with that ranking got an invite to regionals. A little bit more complicated than that, but that was effectively what the cutoff was. So there are about 100 people. Yeah, in Australia, yes, not in the world, in Australia. There's across the 4 regionals, so some have about 25 to 30 participants, some have a little bit less, but the total number that got an invite was about 100. And the winners and a few runners-up of each of those regionals will score a invite and progress to the Continental Championship. So because we're in Asia Pacific, that will mean progressing to the Asia Pacific Continental Championships. All of these are played remotely. So you don't have to travel anywhere in the past. And so in the first championship season, you had to actually travel to one of the Go Fests somewhere in the world to participate in Worlds. So now it's a lot easier to progress through. And we also just want to point out that all 4 regionals in Australia ended up on the same day, on Saturday. That was not a requirement. We weren't told from higher ups, you must all put your regionals on the same day. I think all 4 organisers just independently put theirs on that same day. So Steve and I worked on picking a New South Wales date, and he would know that we sort of had a bit of an idea of who was likely to get an invite. And we asked them, what dates are you most available for? And the result for that was the 19th of June was the most popular response. So we put it on that date. Can I throw it at some of you others? How did you pick the date of 19th of June for your regionals?
Yeah, I did the same thing. So I left it to Shadow because I was in communication with Shadow. She's also on the team for Victoria and Tas regionals. So we contacted who we thought would most likely get an invite and did the same thing. We gave them a few dates, what they could do, and if it would be afternoon or evening, which time and that date they would prefer as well. And that became the most popular date. So just end up being the same time.
I can confirm that Shadow reached out to me and I did help out with figuring out the Tassie and Vic one.
Yeah, I think it was actually my offside at Tazza who does a lot of the day-to-day, week-to-week organisation of the Brisbane tournaments. He just kind of picked 19th, and I think from the discussion, especially with some of the Arena Australis staff members, we were trying to keep into consideration. We actually weren't aware of when was Gibble Community Day was going to happen, because that's how far back we had to actually pick the date. So we were trying to, because I think we knew Gibble was going to happen, or we knew at least there was going to be a community day back then.
It was early May that we had to decide the date. So you're right.
Yeah,
it was very
I
early
don't
on.
think Gibble had been announced, or it was very close to being announced. Like, it wasn't long after, but we tried to make sure, going off the Saturday-Sunday rotation, we wanted to be sure that we picked Saturday, because that's when Community Day wouldn't have fallen. So I think we all got very lucky in that aspect. That especially with such a hotly anticipated one, that regionals would have been a very I think I would say it's safe to say people probably wouldn't have done it if it had to choose between that and Gibble Community Day. So yeah.
Yeah, so for South Australia and Western Australia, we were looking at a couple of different dates, like the 19th or the 26th, 27th, that kind of weekend. We were trying to organise based on, same community days, like Swablu. While we were discussing this, Swablu Com Day had just been announced, so we could we can go based on that, assuming Saturday, Sunday, alternating things. That we could choose this weekend, and it would be completely free of any kind of Pokemon events. And also we had to take into consideration Go Fest, because we knew that was coming up around June, July, and we just set it on 3 particular dates, like the 12th, 13th, 19th, 20th, or 26th, 27th. And I can't remember why we chose the 19th, but that's just the weekend that we fell on. And it just turns out everyone else chose the exact
It was a nice middle of the month, not right at the end.
It wasn't too early.
Yeah.
We crossed out the 5th, 6th weekend, because that was too early for people to get the meta ready and the teams ready and built and stuff. And we thought, I think maybe 26, 27, we might have thought that's a bit late in the month. People might be sick of it then, or they might be too keen to get it done earlier. So
the danger is also if you do it too late and then something comes along, so there's going to be a raid day on the 26th, and you put that there, it's very hard to reschedule. And Niantic has a tendency of doing that. So I know that's one of the considerations we had. Unfortunately, one of the downsides of all this is you're only supposed to do the regional that's closest to you. So if you're from New South Wales, you should do the New South Wales regional. If you're from South Australia or WA, you're supposed to do the South Australia WA regional. But not Niantic, Silph does provide a little bit of wriggle room sometimes to allow you to go to another regional sometimes. Unfortunately, because they're all on the same day, that has meant that a couple of battlers have been unable to participate in Australia at all this year. And in the past, it wasn't an issue because you didn't have to go to your nearest regional. So last year before COVID, I was planning to be in California during April, and I was going to go to the San Diego regional so that I could run the New South Wales one. And that wasn't an issue because you could just travel anywhere. Whereas here, they don't want you picking a regional based on who's going to have like the easiest regionals. Like I'll go, I think that, Victoria, Victoria, Tasmania sounds a little bit easier, so I might go there instead of New South Wales, or I'll go here or there based on who's participating. They don't want you to do that. You're supposed to just do the one that's closest to you. But unfortunately, because we've all gone with the same dates, it does have that sort of negative side to it. One final thing I do want to say is that
not only the four of us, but New Zealand was also on the exact same day as well.
All of Oceania.
Just to add to it a little bit. I know like Jim, one of the Newcastle guys, is ending up. He's going to be competing in Japan for his regionals because he couldn't do the 19th. So that is a certain downside. But what I cut you off.
Yeah, I think the last thing is waiting for regionals is 3 times. So it's not your regular, I don't know if it's because it's normally 10 times waiting. I don't know if that means it's 30 times or if it's like 3 times and then you get a 10 times weighted.
It's times 3.
Times 3. So it's going to be, it's 30 times or?
It's a third of a 10 times weighted.
Oh, so okay. 30%. All right. I feel a little bit better now. Because I think for a lot of us, we're all very competitive. Okay. All right. That's not too bad.
I was looking at joining the Victorian one because I knew the last couple of years they've had quite a stacked regionals with pretty top tier battlers. But then, they came with the rule you have to join your nearest one. So I sadly couldn't join that one, even though I really wanted to.
Just move house like I am.
I don't know if I want to live in Victoria the way they are right now.
Sorry, Sydney, that's the problem now.
We can all share the blame here or there as time goes on. But we'll move on into kind of one topic of discussion is the fact that we only have 4 regionals this year. This year. We used to have more than that. Like, there were 3 regionals in Queensland alone, I think, last season. I think New South Wales only ended up with 1, but we could have been split into 2. But Bamboss kind of gathered all of our New South Wales communities together and we submitted a joint application. So we all just did 1 intentionally, I suppose. Like we didn't try for 2. And then I think there was 1 in every state. I don't think there was 1 in Northern Territory, who also isn't actually featured in any. I'm sure there's pogo communities out in Northern Territory, but I guess they haven't received like regionals invites, or they're competing around in the other communities. But how do you guys feel in the sort of merged regionals with how it's kind of gone? And also, I guess the bottom line question is like, why were different states merged together this time around where they weren't in the past?
I can speak at least for Queensland. Unfortunately, just Silph participation dropped off across the board. So we used to have back in season 1, I think we had like 2 different communities, or 2 or 3 different communities across Brisbane and Logan, which is close to Brisbane. But as time's gone on, we've just kind of merged them into the one Pokemon Go Brisbane community we've got now. We did also have a separate smaller community with Strathpine and Springfield as well. So Springfield's a bit far away, about a 30-40 minute drive or so from Brisbane. So they had a bit of a group playing out there as well. And Strathpine is actually within Brisbane. There was just a dedicated group who did their own tournaments, which is pretty cool. That's ideally what we all wanted. And then also Harvey Bay. So Harvey Bay and Townsville, I think, also had their own dedicated communities. I think it was the season 1 regionals. They actually had a group of people come 6-hour drive all the way down from Harvey Bay to Brisbane just to participate in our regional tournaments. And that was actually where I met Shadow for the first time, who I didn't actually realize is the same Shadow we all know and love now. So that was actually pretty cool. Yeah, but I think it's just unfortunate as time's gone on. Silph participation has dropped off, and as far as I know, Harvey Bay didn't actually do any ranked tournaments for season 3 at all. So that's simply why we don't have any other regionals in Queensland anymore. So disappointing, but that's just the reality. So Can
I ask, did Townsville and Brisbane put in a separate bid each, or did you both bid jointly this time?
I don't. I probably should know the answer to this, but I don't know what the go is with Townsville at all. They're just separate. They might as well be a separate state, really. I haven't heard anything about any other Pokemon Go Queensland communities who tried to put a bid in, and looking at the participation list as well. Apart from, I'm not entirely sure about Dank Brody, but everyone else I know in that list is from Brisbane. So, yeah.
Dr. Trotter's Townsville, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. But yeah, sorry, Doc. Yeah, you are correct. He always does that. He does our tournaments anyway, so I think wouldn't be surprised.
He's from a town called Aussie Twitch Amigos, as I understand.
I mix up Townsville and Toowoomba, so for some reason I thought he was Toowoomba, but yeah, you are correct.
And I guess, speaking of, we'll actually jump into that and start taking a look at these regionals, see the participation list, and we're going to go smallest to largest, which does actually mean that we are going to be starting off with the Queensland one, which I've got up on screen now. And we've got 8 participants. So, Aveda, do you kind of want us tell us what's up with this regional, what we can expect?
Yeah, so pretty much looking at the participation list, it's just another Brisbane tournament, which that's okay. We all have fun, and everyone knows each other. So Dr. Trotter, don't really know if he needs much of an introduction. If you're watching this, you probably know who he is. But just going back over our previous tournaments, so he more or less stormed our Prismatic Cup and our Thunderdome. Our Prismatic Cup, and in Arena Australis, he completely stormed the Thunderdome Cup as well. And just a small little fact, he's currently number 1 in Australia, so no one's too worried there, but it's just something to keep in mind. Dr. Trotter obviously is from Townsville, but he's a welcome guest in our Brisbane community. And yeah, he's always joins in our tournaments. So good to see how he goes. He's currently the only elite trainer in there, which is good. So second up, I would say Cold Frog. Cold Frog, he's been with us for quite a long time. It's more or less between him and Beating. They've kind of been like neck and neck in terms of how well they've gone with each other. He's a very, very skilled player. Hopefully, I'd love to see him and Dr. Trotter go up against each other personally, just to see how well that pans out. He's currently number 7 in Australia as well. So getting up there, I would say. Finally, I'll just speak about Beating in particular as well. So he's I'm not sure he's historically he's won like the vast majority of our tournaments. Like we just know he's our number 1 guy. But obviously this season he's not quite our number 1 guy. So he's obviously still very, very skilled. He's number 9 currently. I think just maybe his participation has just dropped off a bit for whatever reason. That's all fair enough. But he's historically been our number 1 champion, but at least now we've got some nice competition between him, Cold Frog, and Dr. Trotter. So shout out as well. Unfortunately, I don't know Dank Brody that well, so I don't really have that much to say about him, but ace ranked player, nice to have him on board. Just want to shout out as well to the other, we've only got 8 people are registered. So Caddy Wrangler, he's an awesome guy. I know Caddy Wrangler in person, so glad to see he's doing really, really well, and wish him luck. And Tazza in particular, he helps organize a lot of our tournaments. He took over for me when I just had to step back for a while due to some just other things going on. So he's awesome to have, and absolutely knows his stuff. And same deal with McBob. So good to see that they've all registered and joining on board. Aveda, don't really have too much to say about him. I wouldn't really speak too much about him highly, but honestly, it's a small group. It's an awesome consistent group. I wish everyone the best of luck. I hope everyone absolutely brings the A game. I'm sure they will. Absolutely positive they will. So yeah.
Yeah, you've got to bring your stuff when the top player in Australia is going to be hanging around in your corner.
No pressure at all. No pressure.
And because it is only 8 people, it means that it's going to be a 3-round tournament, and there's only going to be 1 continental invite being given out. So someone has to sweep all 3 rounds to be able to get that coveted ticket to the AFAC Continentals. So we'll just have to wait and see who ends up coming out on top, I suppose. But we'll move on to the second regionals, which is the South Australia Western Australia regionals, which does go up to 19 participants. So if the gruesome twosome want to take a spin.
Yeah, so I've had to talk, we'll find out some information about the WA players because I didn't really know much about them. We've got 19 in the SAWA and only 5 of those are in Western Australia. So that tells you why we've kind of joined, like 5, 6 if you count Michimi, who was from Western Australia but has since season 2 started, I think, moved to Japan, but still wanted to stay in touch with the Aussie PvP community, and because of COVID, he's been able to do that because we have to do remote tournaments and stuff. So they've only got 5. Out of those 5, only Averitt has done both the 2019 and 2020 regionals. So I guess you could say he's a fan favorite for this year to go in, because for WA anyway, because they're probably all going to be backing him. They're like, you represent our state in this little group of us, and like battling like 16 or 13 like South Australian battlers. Yeah. So he started a group in Perth like 2 years ago because it was quite small. So he went and wanted all of Perth to join in, all the suburbs together into one tight-knit Discord like community. So the 2019 and 2020 regional winners from WA actually no longer play. So I'm not even sure who they were, but the information, all I have is they don't play. But Digital, which is in here, he became runner-up in the 2020 regionals. So he's also another fan favorite amongst the WA players, because he was runner-up last year and might continue the cup to this year. Another top battler in WA was Let's Michimi. So he's also a bit obviously, like I said earlier, he moved to Japan, but still wanted to remain quite active in the Australian PvP scene. And he's done so much for Arena Australis, I know, at least anyway, and probably some other stuff in Western Australia for them as well. And someone who I don't have much information on is Brody Star. So apparently he only joined in halfway through the season and just got a regional invite. So he's proven his worth to only be in roughly half of the season and still get a regional invite and be with the best of the best around the country. So I thought that was quite impressive. And on the South Australian side, we have a Discord server, Silph League South Australia, which is SLSA, and that was created by our lead ranger and head of Silph Road for Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific Islands. So basically all of Oceania, Nib Bennett. So he created this server to connect all of the South Australian players in around the whole state, to just have them all and be a good representative for Silph for the whole state. So interesting also for South Australia, the 2019 regional winner, which was the Real Linux, I don't think he plays anymore, at all. At least I know he doesn't do any Silph battles. I'm not sure if he plays Pokemon Go at all. But the last year's regional winner was Bambi, but she didn't receive an invite this time around, so she's not in this one. So for this year, we're going to have a brand new battler who's going to win. So it's literally anyone's game. And to go on that, Bambi, she won last year. She actually was the lowest ranked in the regional tournament. So it just goes to show rank doesn't mean everything. Our two lowest ranks last year in South Australia were the two finalists, so the winner and the runner-up. And so a little bit of stats. Our favourite to win in South Australia will be Fish and Ahita. He's currently ranked 8th in Australia. And he is in South Australia, our top-ranked ace player, followed closely by Peng, who's at rank 13 in Australia, and Freeman, who's ranked 22nd, which is my personal favourite to win. I've done quite a few scrims with him, and we always battle each other, and he's really, really good. And I just hope that in this regionals he can shine and show everyone how good he is. And there's me, who's ranked 30th, and player Wilbert, who was in South Australia in season 2 and just took all of like Adelaide by storm. Like, it was just his first tournament ever, came in, swept. I think it was like a 4 or 5 round tournament, and just kept on doing so consistently every tournament. He has now moved back to Hong Kong, but because of remote tournaments, he can still participate in our SA tournaments, and we welcome him because we know he's a good battler, and anything that, you know, kind of lifts, you know, the standard of PvP and battling as a whole, we gladly welcome that. And so some new promising battlers that have come in just in this season. There's Otto, sorry, I'm going to butcher these names maybe, Otto Saha. They've joined just in this season and got a regional invite. Rob Literate, he's been around, I think, since season 2, and I know him quite well, I guess. We've done a few gym breaker tournaments together, so I know he's a pretty good top tier battler who's reasonably new. And Lucaria and I Like Turtles, they're both reasonably new to Silph, and I've also gotten regional invites despite being fairly new. And so I asked a few people who they thought was the underdog going into this tournament, and Vizzies has I guess self-nominated himself as an underdog, because I talked to him and he said that he didn't think that he would make it through because of he thinks he's had poor performance in this season, but I disagree. Anyone who's gotten a regional invite, in my opinion, can't say that they aren't good enough. And Nibena as well, being the lowest ranked in our tournament. But like I said earlier, rank doesn't mean anything. A regional winner last year was literally the lowest ranked player. So going into this, Vizzies and Nibbit, both being our underdogs for the tournament. And I looked at some ranks on South Australia, or for all of them. So I think it was Hawk Aussie that put together like a spreadsheet, and our average ranking going into this tournament is 51. So out of 19 players, our average is 51, which is, I think I was looking at it, and as the second lowest, I think. So I think based on the tournament sizes, like we're going to go through, like we just did Queensland, we're going to do South Australia, and so New South Wales next and stuff, and each of them will go up in their ratings. So the competition is just only going to get stronger from here on out.
Yeah, it sounds like the stage is really set for. It's really cool that a new champion is going to be crowned, which is really cool to see. And Bambi is definitely a really good reminder that literally anyone can win. If you got to the point where you've got a regionals invite, it means you're good enough to compete with the best in the country. And it can really go to anyone, any of these 19 players. Well, there's actually going to be 2 continental invites going out to this tournament. So whoever, if there's someone who sweeps, then they'll get it. If there's not someone who sweeps, then it will go on. Actually, there will be a tiebreaker round to make sure that someone is the outright champion. But then the second place will be given based on battle wins as well. So with that, we'll move on to the... Yeah?
Also add to what Final Flash said. Regionals is really hard. Like, there's no easy battles. It's not like when you go into your regular tournament and there's a mate of yours who's like okay and done a bit of GBL and it's like, you know, pretty easy to win. Every single battle that you do in regionals is hard. And my goal in the past has always been, if I can just win one round, I'm happy. I just want to come out with one win out of the 4 or 5 that we do.
It's very sweaty.
Yeah, the pressure is definitely on. It's not like a normal tournament at all. Like I can be cool, calm, and collected in a normal tournament, but as soon as it comes to regionals, yeah, my hands are sweaty and I'm nervous, and like sometimes that plays into how well I perform. Like I think last year's regionals I didn't do too well. But the previous years, I think I came like 3rd or something. So I was pretty good in that. But last year, just the pressure and everything. But just yeah. So it literally can be anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Muted yourself there on the way. We got most of the message still.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will move on to the 3rd of the 4 Australian regionals, which is New South Wales. Bamboss, you do want to take this one?
Yeah, so a little bit of background on New South Wales. New South Wales has always had its own regional, so we've never split up, but we've managed to stay just on our own. And 2019, we managed to get 21 participants. 2020, there was 25 participants, and at the moment there are 27 signed up. So it's really good to see a little bit of consistent growth there. And that's included battlers from communities from a lot within Sydney, but also on the Central Coast in Newcastle and inland in Bathurst. In the past, we've also had battlers from Canberra, Tamworth, Coffs Harbour and Wollongong as well. In fact, I think we still have a few battlers from Wollongong in particular who participate through Arena Australis but don't have their own local community tournaments to participate in. So it's quite a broad range of different communities within New South Wales who are participating. Last year, as Steve pointed out, the northern New South Wales communities almost got their own regionals. And the reason for that is you've got to remember places like Tamworth and Coffs Harbour, they're actually closer to Brisbane than they are to Sydney. So it's quite far away for them to get to any regionals. And last year, when it was still going to be in-person regionals, that was a much bigger deal. This year, we also actually have a participant from Fiji. So Fiji has one player who, through Go Stadium, qualified, had to play somewhere else and decided to come to the Sydney regionals as one of the closer ones. And because we've got the 27 participants, that should also mean to progress through to Continentals. Even if a few drop out, 17 is the minimum to get the two invites. In 2019, Playdis came first in a 5-way tie. None of the other 4 players are still participating. He didn't win the runoff to or the elimination final to be crowned the champion, but he did end up representing New South Wales in Germany at GoFest over there. And then in 2020, he also won regionals last year and was the undisputed champion. So he won all 5 rounds and represented Australia in APAC and went through to the top 8 in APAC, where he got smashed pretty bad. Like if regionals is hard, Continentals is even harder. So just getting to that top 8 is absolutely phenomenal to have done in 2020. I've asked a lot of the regionals participants who they think are the favourites, who they think are the underdogs or the dark horses. And honestly, if we have a look at the list, there's 8 ace trainers, and it's very easy to say any one of those 8 ace trainers is easily a favourite. They're all incredibly capable, but I do want to single a couple out. And one is Playdis got 6 votes, so 6 of the 15 or so participants who responded put down Playdis, but some of them put him down as a favourite. Some of them put him down as an underdog because you actually have to scroll down. He's a mid-level challenger this season because he's not participated as much in the Silph Arena. He's only done 6 of the 8 ranked cups. So he's focused a little bit more on GBL. He's a very good battler, but he's a little bit, I think, rusty when it comes to the Silph Arena. So whether he's a favourite or an underdog is questionable, but he's definitely, I think, one of those two. The other players who are seen very much as favourites are Agent Magikarp, Gon, and also Steve. Now, if I can talk about the 3 of them, Steve was actually a runner-up in 2019 and 2020, so 2021 might be his chance. What say you, Steve? You feeling confident?
Look, hopes are up. Because the first time around we didn't have an overall sweep, the top score was 4-1. First year, I went 3-2. Second year, I went 4-1. Third year, the trajectory says...
Yeah, that's right.
You never know.
So we've We've also got Agent Magikarp. He was a runner-up in 2019, and Gon was a runner-up in 2020. Gon lost to Playdis in the very last round. So had he beaten Playdis in that last round, he would have represented New South Wales in regionals. In terms of the underdogs, Bowie Jangles and Will I Wonka, one of my local battlers from the local area, and also Dennis. But Dennis is also a little bit questionable whether he's a favourite or an underdog. I'd say he's a bit more of a favourite, but he was voted more of an underdog in that sense. So there's a few of the players who you may want to have a look out for. If I can point one more out, Maxi, he's one of the New South Wales battlers. He's been in Sydney for the last year or two, originally from Chile. So it's a very, very competitive scene over there, and he has brought a lot of that competitive edge with him, and he's definitely someone to look out for. Gon has consistently been, I think, top 3 in the country as well. So someone else who, if I had to pick a favourite, I'd probably pick Gon. If I had to pick an underdog, I'd probably go with Bowie Jangles. I think I had one person say that I was one of the underdog favourites to win. I don't put my odds that high. I'm hoping to get 1 or 2 wins out of the total 5. But that's a little bit of an overview. So I think quite a few different places as well. Like Gon is from Sydney. Agent Magikarp is from Newcastle. Steve, you're also from Newcastle. Bowie Jangles and Will I Wonka are from Sydney. They tend to be, I think, the 2 most competitive scenes across New South Wales. But, Bathurst could pull it off. Scientist Mark from the Central Coast is also very good. So who knows? And it's going to be 2 people or 2 invites to Continentals coming through. So it's not just first place, it's also runner-up. So there's your chance, Steve. You can be runner-up and still get through this time.
Fingers crossed. I think last year I ended up 3rd by like tie breaks and stuff. So still have to do a little bit better this year. Have to up my game to get the Continentals thing. But I do want to point out that Gon is an absolute machine. Gon was my 1 loss in last season's regionals, and I got absolutely swamped. Like, it was just like a masterclass in how to just manage your energy and swap out perfectly. And it was like, I could not do a single thing. Gon is just really someone to look out for.
He's like you win the lead and you think, okay, I'm in with a chance.
Yeah, and then you don't. You just don't.
Yeah.
He knows you're doing 10 seconds before you do. Truly a machine. But I mean, I'm excited. We'll just leave it at that. But that does bring us to the largest of the regionals in the country, which is it's so large that we had to get 2 people here to talk about it. We've got AchillesHero and Cactus. Do you guys want to kind of take us through the Tasmania Victoria regionals?
Yep. I might focus more on the Victorian side of things, and Cactus can focus on Tasmanian side of things.
For sure,
yeah. Tasmania, that would more, suit it better. I'd say from a Victoria perspective, in 2019, we had 33 competitors. So it was a 6-round tournament. Funnily enough, of those 33, only 9 have actually battled in this season. So quite a drop-off. And 2 of those competitors actually, only 2 of them actually in this season, which is not Randy Newman and Inner Bloom. So that would be the most experienced. They'll go in with the most experience, along with Shadow, because she did participate in season 1, but not in Victoria. So those 3 have the most experience going into this regionals. And also not Randy Newman also got runner-up in season 1 with a 5-1 result, and Inner Bloom was a co-3rd position with a 4-2 result. So they both of those competitors did really well. So they can perform pretty good in these regionals under pressure. In the regionals 2020, we had 47 competitors, so another 6-round tournament. But this year, but also 22 of those haven't battled in season 3. So quite a drop off. The runner-up for actually the regional champion, so back to season 1, Necro was season 1 champion. They have not battled at all this season. For season 2, Unwind was the regional champion, and they'd only battled once this season. So we're going to, if it's a Victorian winner, we're going to have a Victoria champion if Victoria takes it out instead of Tasmania. Runner-up was Jonah with a 5-1 result. He's ranked lower down the list because he's only really battled at the start of season 3. But they also, being a runner-up, they earned a Continentals invite last year and they went 3-3. So they broke even pretty much. They performed pretty well in Continentals. And they were also an elite trainer last season. So it's someone to look out for this tourney. Even though they haven't battled often, they do have the skill to take out the regionals. And then there was two co-thirds that actually are in this tourney, which was Anastropic with 4-2 result, who was the number 1 trainer last season for Australia. He ended on top, and myself with a 4-2 result. Interesting for this season, adding in the Tasmanian participants as well. Now we have 14 debutants, so quite a new look in towards the participants this season. The favourites from Victoria is not Randy Newman, who's done really well. He's won mega tournaments before. He's taken out a Colossal as well. Anastropic, high-level battler, and also Jonah with having that Continentals experience as well could be beneficial. In terms of underdogs, we've gone with Shadow, someone who's done 3 regionals invites, but they haven't necessarily gone well in them. But this season, she's had a massive improvement. She's taken out a lot of tournaments. She's quite in the gloat lobby on Arena Australis. She's actually in the final most cups, and she's more than often taken them out. So she's doing really well, and she's got the momentum at the moment to take out a regionals. This could be her time. And also one from down in my area, in my community, Random Hero, which some of you might know as Boba Fett 3044 in his actual pogo name. He's one of those players that play more anti-meta teams rather than the full meta. So he might be one of those that throw people off with his anti-meta picks. And now's the time to do it when people are just focused on certain picks and not necessarily thinking about something that you've never seen before. So that's my go from Victoria. I'll just bring it over to Cactus now.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't part of the 2019 regionals for Tasmania, so I haven't looked into that much and don't know an awful lot about what happened with that. But I was part of the 2020 regionals. So we had the Hobart folk and the Northern folk, Ulverstone, Launceston guys, I believe. We were all together, and we had 12 people in this tournament, 4 rounds. But it actually ended on a 6-round tie between 6 battlers who all went 3-1. And we had a huge ending thing to finish off there. The competitors from there were actually, so myself from Hobart, and then everyone else was Northern battlers. We had Rocket Claire, Crusader, Caleb the Norman, Hawk Aussie, another battler who hasn't been playing in Season 3, but still did very impressively to get a 3-1 in regionals last year with that kind of competition. And the way it ended up being was that Rocket Claire and I ended up battling it out in the finals, and she was the one to take home the regionals win and go to Continentals. So I've been hot on her tail ever since. But yeah, I'd say that last season was more dominated by North Tasmania players, but this season 2021 we've got more Hobart players, and I think we're really ready to come together as a collective. Tasmania battling even against Victoria. I reckon we've got some serious underdogs here this season. So I'm the top battler, the top ranked battler this year. I'd say I possibly have the most experience from Hobart, but I definitely think that we should keep an eye out on some of the other battlers, such as Fishy Legs, Antagonist Inc., Chipsy, and Semi-Naked Chef. They're all battlers who I've had some good experience with in the local Hobart tournaments, even though even though Fishy is up north as well, he battles with the Hobart folk. I've had some really good experience with these guys, and I have lost to Fishy and Chipsy here and there. So I definitely consider them to be underdogs who could completely surprise everyone and take this away. But all in all, I have high respect for all the battlers in Hobart and Tasmania as a whole, and I definitely think that we can give you Melbourne guys a run for your money.
Bring it on.
Got a bit of competition going on here.
I think that the Victorian Tasmanian overview was probably the best education I had on pronunciation of player names. So thank you very much for that.
Actually, one thing is it is a nicer tropic, I believe.
Oh yeah, I pronounced that wrong. Yeah.
I've always said anisotropic, but
yes, same.
That's how I've read it.
I know it's some sciencey word that mean I've said it before. It's something to do with like something that I've forgotten the definition. Something temperature related, like different properties, different temperature, something. I don't know. It's a word.
If they try correcting you, just correct them back and go, no, this is how you say your name. Power move.
Wasn't AchillesHero? You've got the chili on your name because people kept on calling you AchillesHero.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Did you ever correct them back? Or you just went like, no, it's a chili.
Yeah,
you added that.
I corrected them back, but it was said that often that it just stuck, and they just started calling me Chili after that.
That's fantastic.
That's actually awesome. I didn't know that. That's really cool. Well, the only mispronunciation of my name is people think that it's the E's are the other side of the V, so they think it's like a Stevie. But it wasn't that clever. Not that clever at all. But with that, I think there's only kind of one thing left to hit on, and that is where we go from here, which is, regionals. There's going to be 6 Continentals invites being given out to Aussies. So there's at least one, actually 7.
7, yeah.
3 of the tournaments are going to get 2, and then one's going to get 1. So we're actually going to get 7 across the country.
And if I could just talk about that before you go on, Steve, because there's a couple of interesting things there in terms of the champion gets an invite by default. So if there is a tie, then there is a playoff, and whoever wins that becomes the champion. But after that, second place is, as you said, based on battle wins, and then I'm going to butcher this one, butch holes, one of that tiebreaker thing about how many wins your opponents have, and then finally global rank. So there is actually a way to do that. It's not based on like a playoff for second place. It is based on your ranking. So if you're the top second place, that's who gets the invite. And if you're third place, then you don't get it. It's as simple as that. And yeah, Queensland only gets 1. Hopefully South Australia and WA stay above 17, because at the moment they drop down to 16. Then it's only 1.
It looks like we've actually lost one of our soldiers in this fight, which so I'll move the screen over to one where we can just see everyone. Okay, it's working. We have everyone on screen, but we have lost one. So the one thing left to talk about is that isn't the only way for people to get an invite to Continentals. There is one other, well, actually, there's 2 other methods. One of those methods is if you are the top player in the country, if you are number 1, then you will also get a Continentals invite, which at the moment is Dr. Trotter. And if he remains on the top and he also gets an invite from regionals, it does not cascade. So if Dr. Trotter could just lose his regionals and then stay number 1, Australia would happen to get another invite in that fashion as well. And then the other way is actually through qualifier tournaments, wildcard qualifier tournaments. So does someone kind of want to go through how that sort of worked last season? We don't have the details for this season yet, but it was a little bit randomized. It was wildcard invitationals. If someone wants to take a stab. Or I can do it if no one else.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to
I'll go. So I remember I participated in one of them, and there was, I think, 6 for the Asia Pacific. So they tried to give them a sort of times that would work for everyone. Because I think New Zealand and India, they're quite a few hours apart. I think like 7 hours apart. And these are like 6-7 round tournaments. And usually it's like the top, like the winner of each of those will get an entry into Continentals. But the reason is, I think they work out how many people are going to participate in Continentals, and they like to get an even number, like 64 or 128 or something like that, 96, so that they can get a sort of more even spread in the battles. They did do open qualifiers in the in-person Continentals as well. It's got to be remembered in the first year, where you could turn up to GoFest and just participate in a tournament and still get in the day of or the day before, but you had to be there in person. So these are done, I think, a week before. You've got to say, yes, I want to participate in this one or this one. And if you do well enough, then you get an entry in, and that's open to everyone. So it's not just Aussies. It's everyone across the Asia Pacific region.
Yeah, and last season they gave it out randomized to people who were a challenger rank and above, I think. They randomly sent out invites, so it wasn't guaranteed that we get a spot in the wildcard tournaments, but I think everyone had an equal chance as long as you were challenger and above. Again, that may not be the way they do it this time around. They haven't released the details of that. They're going to wait till regionals kind of closes up so that we can focus forward in that regard, which is probably going to be, I guess, because the last weekend of the month still has a few days after. It's the 26th, 27th. So they'll probably give us some more details after that weekend about how the wildcard qualifiers are going to work, and then when we can expect Continentals to be. But with that said, that kind of brings us to the end of what we needed to talk about. Does anyone else have any kind of comments they want to make about regionals? Because it's a very hype event, and it's going to be kind of cool to see the entirety of the country all duking it out to get 7 champions to send to Continentals next month.
Yeah, I have a quick question, I guess. For the other 3 tournaments, who are your tournament staff members? Because for the SAWA ones, we've got 4 staff members who are going to organize like disputes and stuff like that. But all 4 of them are also competitors as well. I just wanted to know if it was interesting if any other of the Australian regionals have participants who are also going to staff the tournament or not.
What we did in Queensland last year was that we just borrowed someone from Arena Australis to just be available during the day if there were any issues. We weren't anticipating any issues, and we didn't have any issues in the end. But just have that support, that emotional support, I guess, more than anything on the side. And I haven't actually officially organised it, but I dare say I think everyone's just going to help each other out. That's the benefit of that all being on the same day. We've all got ways of contacting each other. So if there are any issues that come up, I'm sure we can just go, hey, is someone able to have a quick look at this for us, and sort it out from there. I think overall Australia is pretty chilled in that I don't foresee any major issues that would require that sort of attention. But never know. We've got that support there just in case. So.
Yeah, so we chose our staff members before regional invites were sent out, so we didn't even know if we were going to be participating or not. But I was like, I got asked to staff the tournament here, and I was like, oh, if I do, am I able to participate, or is that going to be like a conflict of interest or whatever? But it was fine. I was able to both staff and participate in the tournament, and no problems.
Yeah, well, in Vic and Taz, we do have one member on our staff that isn't competing, so we've left them to handle the disputes. I mean, if he does need that hand, we can help him out, but we've just pretty much delegated that role to him.
Yeah, same in New South Wales. So we have Justin, who is a top battler, but has stopped playing Silph and just focuses on GBL now. So he's agreed to come back and deal with any disputes, but we've got 5 tournament organisers from 5 different communities, and we're all helping out with sort of preparing and organising, but we won't be deciding any disputes. So when Steve and I are in the final, it'll be Justin determining which one of us goes.
It'll be me, Justin. You know it. Actually, a fun fact about Justin, he did move from Sydney to Newcastle in the last few months, and he lives I can point and I can almost see his house from where I'm at. So
conflict of interest much?
Silph, don't listen. It's all going to be Justin.
One other point on a separate issue, because this happened last year. I think it was with the New South Wales regionals. One player actually pulled out, I think the day before or 2 days before, withdrew their registration, thinking they wouldn't be able to participate. And then on the morning of, was saying, oh, actually, my thing's come through, I can still participate. But everyone in Silph Arena in like Europe and the US, they'd gone to sleep. And so we couldn't get a hold of them until the last minute. By the time we got a hold of someone from the Silph Arena to get them back in, the participant, and I forget his name, from New South Wales, had also left and like just left his phone and gone for a walk. And so that is something that having all of our tournaments on the same day, all of our regionals on the same day, might actually make it a little bit easier, because we can make sure that Silph Arena has someone on hand to deal with little details like that that you don't think about beforehand. Like I would never have thought of, well, what happens when someone pulls out and then wants to come back in? Who do we contact about that? Because like we contacted Nee Bennett, who's the top Silph guy in Australia, and he could do nothing about it. He doesn't have that sort of power. And these are sort of some things that, you know, you've got to sort of think about if you can, but just deal with on the spot. And that's what a lot of the tournament organizers are going to have to deal with at regional. So if you're listening and you are going to be participating in regionals, just bear that in mind. Be patient with the tournament organizers. You know, this is for fun. We're very competitive, but we're all doing this in the spirit of competition. And particularly for all those who are organizing, it is a lot of work. I'm sure they've all put in a heap of effort. And so make sure you give them your love.
Probably one thing to keep in mind, even as tournament organisers, we don't have an awful lot of power over the back end. So if you do withdraw your registration, we can't do anything ourselves to get you back in. So if you do need to withdraw for whatever reason, sorry. It's really pretty much all I would be able to say. It's a stressful day for the most part, especially probably even more so trying to do everything remotely. And I'm sure none of us really want to actually be dealing with those sorts of issues. So not that I think anyone will, you know, try to stuff us around like that, but just, yeah, keep that in mind. We don't have an awful lot of power.
I mean, if Niantic force pushes this new update, that's very unfortunate, which I did actually download onto my phone, which is very poor. I did one set of battles against someone, and it was like, you know, sometimes I couldn't hit all of the bubbles because they just didn't all appear because it was lagging so much. It was like, oh dear. If they force push that update by Saturday, it might be a little bit rough on the TO front.
I had automatic updates turned off, and mine, I don't know how, I must have hit update or something by accident because it's still updated anyway. No other apps updated, like Facebook, YouTube. No, they're still like 10 versions behind. Pokemon, we're on the current version. We're all good.
Yeah, so we'll just have to play that one by ear. Hope that it all works out. Maybe Niantic, you know, makes this magic push that fixes everything. We can all update to this super clean version that has no bugs in PvP. We can dream.
Ultimate dream.
And on that note, I think we will call it here. We've held everyone's attention for long enough. So thank you all for coming on. I didn't actually mention it, but when Evader did reappear, some names did jumble around a bit. So you'll actually notice that Spike Cactus's name has now changed to Bamboss. Bamboss is now taking on the name of Evader. And there's been a few steps. I've stayed
Queensland is the
apologies. Yeah, apologies, guys. I miscalculated my laptop remaining battery time. I was like, we'll be good. We'll be good.
Has he made a move to New South Wales now, like he planned to?
Yeah, speeding that right up. So keen to get there already.
Yeah, people will actually have to switch regionals depending on which name you got swapped with. So,
Trotter, I'm coming for you.
Behind some competition up here.
Yeah, but be sure to subscribe to the Arena Australis channel as well, because, you know, there's all sorts of good stuff that's coming out here. The podcast coming out every month as well. So with that, we'll see you in the next one. Good luck in regionals, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
everyone. Bye.
See ya.